welcome to the episode 4 of this engine overhaul bay series thing. Last video we got the timing belt on and all timed with the Tomei blue timing belt. In this episode, hopefully we can get the whole motor put together other than the intercooler piping for the new intake manifold. That's going to get towed to my friend Ben at Garage Pure, who is going to do a bunch of custom piping for the car. But so for today, we're going to be doing valve covers, cam cover, intake manifold, and the intake manifold is going to be the hardest part because we have, you see all this mess of hoses? They all go somewhere on the intake manifold. Like, you have hoses still, on the other one, but you have so many ports on this. And what our challenge is going to be to figure out where those go on this, because you got ports for them on here. That's going to be the biggest challenge for this whole thing, but we have the clear cam cover, the crinkle black valve covers, new intake manifold gasket for the intake manifold. I don't think we'll be able to bolt on the throttle body because it'll be too close to the battery. I think the battery will be in the way. So that's going to be an issue. And we also have a new fuel rail for the new intake manifold that's anodized black. That's going to be sick. I will show that off real quick. Scratched. Looks like we have, oh no, thought that was a scratch. It is not. So we have our fuel rail. Sweet. So we'll have to figure that out, how to get all this, how to bolt this on, because I know it bolts to the intake manifold like that. We'll have to figure out how to get the injectors and the lines ran. That also comes with all of these bungs and clamps and things, and all of these hoses. So this is going to be an interesting one. We'll see if we can figure it out. We're also going to replace the NOx sensors before we put the intake manifold on, because they're under the intake manifold and these ones are old, so it's easy just to replace them right now anyways. As you can see, we got the fuel rail all plumbed up, and we got the fuel lines to the fuel rail. We got most of the vacuum lines plumbed up. We got 2 more, one's for the blow-up valve. The other one we might have to plug, and I don't know if it goes to anything or if we have anything go to it, but we have the PCV valve plumbed. We have the brake booster plumbed, fuel pressure regulator, and that's it at the moment. But we have all of this torn apart again, and if you're wondering why, it is because the Woodruff key is that little thing right there in the middle fell out, or I bumped it out when I was putting this all back together and didn't notice until it was all put back together and I found it on the floor. Luckily, I found it on the floor, because if you don't know what that Woodruff key is, it's like a little half moon thing right there. That's what keeps the whole motor in timed. So that sticks out, and then timing gear has a Woodruff key as well. There's 2 Woodruff keys. So the timing gear has a Woodruff key, and then Woodruff key sticks up, and that's what lines all of this up. So this little shield, as is an example, has that lip right there for where the Woodruff key sits inside there. The harmonic balancer / crank pulley has that as well. So if that Woodruff key is not in there or broken, basically everything's spinning without the crank pulley, and your motor blows up instantly. So if I even would have attempted to start the motor without the Woodruff key in there, I would have blown the whole motor up. So I'm glad we found it. But because we already had it all torn apart, I grabbed a new Woodruff key and a new screw that'll hopefully fit into there, which we're about to find out right now. Which it doesn't. It's too big. Can you believe that that little guy's too big? I have the right one on order. They sent it to the wrong dealership today, so I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow to get that little screw. But we can put the Woodruff key and the crank pulley and the shield, the lower shield, all back on now. It popped out. That's what it looks like. It's a little half moon. It is supposed to be that hard to get out. It's got to be snug in there, because if it's got any play in it, things can happen, break easier, kind of like that. But because I had this all pulled apart anyways, figured I'd replace it. And the reason it was in when I showed you is because I put it back in to see if it was snug and if there was actually something wrong with the crank, which if something was wrong with the crank, whole motor would have been screwed. So that's why that was still in there. So I put that back in to check, and because it was good, I figured that one's been through, 25 years of abuse. So let's probably throw a new one in there. That's the new Woodruff key. It doesn't have any heat on it, doesn't have any scarring on it like the old one. So this is gonna probably perform a lot better. Just kind of stick it in the like half moon shaped hole, kind of push on it, make sure it's got no play. That came out a little too easy for comfort, not gonna lie. Well, that was a waste of money, because I ended up just using the one that was already in there, because the new one that I got seemed a little too loose, and the one that was already in there is like real snug, so I trust that more. So we're just gonna now put it all back together. Guys, holy crap. The screw I lost. It's right there. Are you kidding? No way. That's, oh. Yeah. Look. We're good now. All put back together besides the cover. And if you just noticed, I got the new screw in, and then one of them snapped. I didn't even tighten it hard. I was just making sure these were all snug, because I couldn't remember if I tightened them at all, and I just came off like butter. So I'm gonna be 3 anyways. That sucks, but there's nothing I can do about that, because now it's snapped off inside. So all we gotta do is put the cover on now. So that's where we're gonna end the assembly episode of the motor. As you can see, like almost everything is done. All we gotta get done is all the custom piping, which is not gonna be happening here. We're gonna have to do a battery relocation to get the cold side of the intercooler pipe over. We're also leaving the radiator out just because it's gonna be easier to have more room to get all the piping dialed in. But I'm loving the look of that. If you didn't notice, the clear cam cover came with like a pink strip of rubber. It's like a gasket, but it just honestly looks sick. It doesn't need a gasket, it just looks sick. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about it. I'm happy with it.